Sandy Oris moved from Nigeria to South Africa. He built a shop there and spent 14 years growing his business. But during the recent anti-immigrant protests going on in South Africa, they came for his shop, they destroyed it and took what was left inside. For him, relocating to South Africa was a big mistake because everything he got over there, everything he acquired was lost. A friend of mine asked me a question after I posted that video where I took you guys around a new upscale neighborhood opening in Calgary. We had Asian businesses, but no African business on ground. My friend said, "You're telling us to build our businesses to serve a global audience in Canada. But what about something like this that happened in South Africa? Is it not better to just get a job, get a salary, save, and maybe send some money back home for your family members to open a business for you back home instead of investing in another man's land?" Yes, South Africa just proved that you can lose a business you built in another man's land overnight. But Igbo businessmen who survived the Civil War had already given us a blueprint on how to go about things like this. Now, Sandy Oris, the guy we're talking about, isn't alone. Over 600 Nigerians have been evacuated from South Africa, and I'm sure there are others. And many of these people had businesses or homes, assets, which they had to leave behind and run back home. Though the Nigerian government said it's negotiating with South African government to see how they can compensate them for the things they left behind. You see, if people were forced to leave in haste, they wouldn't be able to liquidate their assets, or if they have like businesses, they can't even sell their business. Locals wouldn't buy because when you, the owner, runs away for dear life, it will be all theirs for nothing. And your fellow Nigerians that would have wanted to patronize you, they're also looking to run away. So who is left to sell to? Will years of hard work just be forfeited like that? It's nice to know that our government is trying to negotiate a compensation with the South African government. But would the compensation ever amount to what was actually lost? I'd like to hear your thoughts. What do you think? This is not the first time we have had to answer this kind of question as Nigerians. After the Civil War, many Igbo families who had built businesses, assets in Lagos and non-eastern states lost it all almost overnight. Many of them say no matter what they had in the bank before the war, they were handed £20 as compensation for all their losses. That's it. It didn't matter whether you own multiple property, different businesses, whether you were Oga or you were squatting, it didn't matter. Every family got the same amount. The wealth was wiped out the same way. By policy this time, not just by looting. Now, if this is landing with you, join my newsletter set to Not for Less. It's a weekly newsletter I write for Nigerians abroad who are not willing to settle for less. I'll leave a link in the description. See you there. Our people have been there before, especially the Igbos. They understand how this played out because it had happened to them before, right at home in Nigeria. Not in South Africa, not by the match and match people, but right at home in Nigeria. That's why when you see today in Igbo villages, you see masterpieces, mansions. They would rather build big homes first in their villages before they build in another man's state. When I went to serve in Anambra, the village I stayed, if you see the correct buildings, I was like, so if this had happened to our people, some of them twice before, should we avoid building in another man's land? Now think about the Igbos for a moment, those that rebuilt after the war. It wasn't the £20 that the government was handing to them that helped them to rebuild. It was what they knew about business, how to trade, how to read a market. That's what helped bring them back into business. That was something nobody could take from them. They used it to rebuild their businesses. Now take Chief Augustine Ilodibe, for example, the owner of Ekenedili Chukwu Motors. Everybody knows Ekenedili Chukwu Motors. Before the war, he built a transport company from a single lorry. But during the war, his trucks were taken by the Biafran soldiers and only a few were ever returned back to him after. Most people in his position would have stayed down. You know, The losses were looking big for him, but he didn't. He got vehicles on hire purchase and rebuilt his fleet from almost nothing. And by the time he was done rebuilding, Ekene Chuku Motors was not just back. It was the biggest luxury bus service in the country. So his own story shows that you can lose a business overnight, but you cannot lose what you learned building it. Whether you're successful or not in the business, as long as you are breathing and alive, that knowledge is still there. We see that from our Igbo people. That was how they managed to rebuild themselves from the ground up. And in Nigeria today, the Igbos are still one of the biggest business tribes we have. That skill, that's the one thing Sandy Oris still has, even now that he has nothing but the shirt on his back. 14 years of knowing exactly how to open a shop, price your product, read the market, negotiate, get customers. That knowledge cannot be wiped off. Nobody can take it from him. Not the match and match, and not the Nigerian economy. He can start again. So the question is not whether to build in another man's land or not, but what is it that you are building there? Is it something portable that you can carry with you anywhere, or is it all fixed? If you want to see where this kind of knowledge meets resilience plays out in real time, there's a channel I like to watch. It's called Web Nation. It features Africans who have returned to the continent. Some came with no money and they've managed to build businesses, thriving businesses with the skills, the work ethics, the knowledge, and the lived experiences they gathered abroad. And they are using it to build thriving business. And they have this kind of foresight in the business world in Africa, and it's helping them. So maybe the fear holding us back from building here in Canada isn't the fear of a mob coming after the shop, because we're in Canada. I know things can change, but let me know what you think in the comments. Back home, if you wanted to start something, family pulled money together. This uncle will bring, that auntie will bring. People who trusted you lent you money informally, no contract to sign, no collateral sometimes. But here, that's hard to find. Those kind of wealthy relatives or people who know you that would want to support your business. You would have to go to the bank, who will still ask for collateral or credit history, which you may not have yet. And even if you manage to get past those financing issues, we're still learning the market. It's not like we have back home. Back home, you know your customer because you are your customer. Two women can be selling akara at a junction. Both of them will sell out. Nigerians patronize businesses. But here we are still guessing. Even with our own community, sometimes it's hit or miss because the new environment kind of interferes. You see, and sometimes we just end up serving our own community, which limits how far we can go. None of that is fair. It's just harder and slower to do business here. And the pressure to make it fast these days too will make people to rather just take a job than to go and start something from scratch and start to build it up. Unlike we had in the generations before us, our older Nigerian immigrants, that somebody pointed this out in my comments in the last video, that the older Nigerian immigrants, they were the business builders. But us millennials, Gen Zs, they don't have that stamina. What's happening in SA now, to me, that's not a justification for not building abroad. If anything, learn how to build where you are so that if anything happens, you can replicate that building wherever you find yourself. Nobody can take that knowledge from you. Thank you for watching. I'll see you on the next one.